Bank of Canada dropped key interest rates again. It's just a 1/4 point drop this time. Last drop and the one before that were both 1/2 point drops. Tiff Macklem said they were going to take a slower pace at it. So this is what you're seeing. I'm going to talk about the neutral rate and what they're doing, but the neutral rate is the point where interest rates are at where they're not stimulating or hurting the economy. And right now we're at the top end at 3%. So the neutral rate's 2 to 3%. We're just at the top end of that. I think that we've got quite a bit more room to decrease. Another wild part of this is that they just stopped quantitative tightening. Basically just says that the Bank of Canada is going to normalize things on the balance sheet, ending quantitative tightening, which is the Bank of Canada selling off government bonds to drive down the price of the bonds and drive up the yield, which ultimately drove up interest rates. So they were still doing that up to right now, which they're not going to stop. Interesting. So this also mentions that CPI came in at 2%, which is a little bit higher than it was in the last report, but still well within norms. That's on the low end of what's considered acceptable. They mentioned there's some volatility with the GST, HST holiday. This part of the article is just saying they expect global economy to continue to grow at 3% and that they're seeing that past interest rates are actually having a positive effect in stimulating the economy, even though the job market is still crap and businesses aren't really doing better. It's mostly just people in the economy in general. So everything that the Bank of Canada thinks they're planning could be, up in smoke depending on what happens with this tariff situation. I would not be surprised if there was an emergency meeting to lower interest rates again, depending on what happens. And also Canada's response if Canada takes retaliatory tariffs action against the US, if and when Donald Trump implements his tariffs. Everything we think we know about the financial and economic outlook for the next year could be vastly different, and the Bank of Canada's approach would be vastly different. But if that tariff issue doesn't happen, I suspect we're going to see more small interest rate cuts in the 25 basis points, probably 4 more times to get down to the bottom end of the neutral rate. Then they will probably just monitor it from there. But that's very theoretical at this point, given the tariff situation.